guys, it's me, Pothead, and I'm back with another speed build. I'm so sorry that it's been so long since I posted one. So basically I've had a few new ideas for my next few projects with The Sims. I don't know if I'm going to be able to talk for 48 minutes, but we'll see how far we can get. So the inspiration for this build is a little different than the previous ones because I wanted to start basically a Sims TV show that is based off of the high school book that I wrote that I talked about in another Sims speed build. But yeah, so basically I am making sets for the show, and the main character's name is Rel, and this is her bedroom. I wanted to make it kind of similar to me since the main character is basically my whole high school, middle school life autobiography. So I wanted to make it kind of like hippie, boho-y, kind of like a nicer version of my room because mine is very messy and like not nice. But I wanted to match like a similar aesthetic that's like I bought this room divider because I'm scared of the dark, so it's easier for me to sleep when I have like a wall next to me. So I was looking for room dividers on Amazon, and I couldn't find like any that weren't less than like $50 that looked kind of worth it. So I decided to buy a giant piece of cardboard that was like a room divider that I was like, I'll like put little photos with my photo printer that I got. It's actually like one of the best things that's ever happened to me. It's like pretty cheap for what it is. It's like a printer that you don't need to put ink in that just prints your photos, because like you know how you have to go to like those photo stores like CVS or something to print like photos. Well, this like prints smaller photos, but like it's pretty handy. It's like tiny, and yeah, you just connect it with Bluetooth and it just prints out your photos. It's awesome. So I would suggest looking that up. It's called like a Sprocket HP. It had a pretty good deal, so I thought it was worth it. But anyway, so yeah, I wanted it to have like pixie lights or whatever, just like the typical kind of teen room. It was hard to photograph this actually because it's such a weird kind of shape. But yeah, I wanted her to have like a little like couch area that's separate, and then have like she can paint on the wall there that I'm gonna add. But yeah, it's pretty small. Like I don't know like what it's like to have my own room that's like permanent. The closest thing I have is my Smith room, so I don't really know what to base it off of, but I know that this is probably how I would want my room to look like. If I had my own room and could furnish it with like furniture that's not Smith furniture, I think that'll be like the first exciting thing of adulthood, is actually choosing your furniture. Since I've had the same furniture for like 4 years, and like before that it was always the same furniture since I was like a kid. But yeah, like it's weird how if you speed these up they go so much faster. But if I had a room like this, I would like never leave. It has like everything you need. But yeah, so like I made about, I think 620, whoa, that's a lot. 8 plus 8, 16, 17, 18. I made 18 people. It got really tiring after a while of having to like dress them and stuff. Just because you have to put the uniform and then you have to choose like all the outfits for all the time. So I was like, oh, I guess I'll like just do it for now, but like once I have to actually put them in a scene, I'll like change it, you know? Which I thought was gonna be a lot. I had like a lot of ideas for how I wanted to film it, but like I tried filming the first scene, and already like Rel, the main character, was not like, since it's like a custom content bed and she's wearing custom content clothes, it just looks like she's sleeping on top of the sheets, and I just like wish it could be a little more realistic, but like we'll see. If anything, like these rooms were pretty cool to make. It's cool to like actually be able to see the characters and like the kind of scenes I pictured in my head, although they kind of ended up not looking necessarily the same as I pictured it. It's cool to like humanize them and stuff like that. Like I did do it once, like I made the characters back when I had not deleted all my shit from my mods folder for so long. I've been like, I had so much on there, and then like I deleted it by accident, and I just like gave up and like deleted the whole game, started from scratch. That's when I had like the empty builds and stuff, and like I started making my new town, because it just started getting like really glitchy and overpopulated, and there was like a few mods in my game that were like shutting it down. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll start from the beginning. But I didn't save a lot of the characters that I had made, so that was really unfortunate, because like I kind of saw the third generation of like Don Lothario's kids with like Nina and Dina, which I wish I had like, you know, been able to save, but stupid me, don't think about my consequences to my actions. So yeah, this is Rel's room. I thought it was like pretty simple. For some reason, like it was a lot more fun to make the boys Jake's room, because he was a little bit more like eclectic. I felt like the girls, like, I didn't want to scare everyone away and be like, oh yeah, this is the way I live, so I decided to make it a little more classy. And now I'm doing her living room, which I pictured to be a little different. I couldn't find like a nice red couch that I was picturing. But I wanted it to be like a very like modest house, and I actually made the front of the house just so that I could like film it, and the house looks exactly like my house at home, my house back home. Sorry, it's like 2:30 in the morning, and I woke up pretty early today. Like I was not even awake, and it was a long day, but I slept for most of it. I went to the museum with my friend because she was gonna jump into this hole that was freezing cold, and it's like a performance art or something, and you sign up, and she made an appointment for today, and I was like, oh my god, I have to wake up at 9 a.m. to watch her. It's like an hour and a half away, so it was just like, friendship, you know, and she's like my friend's friend, like, but I was excited to see her jump into the hole, you know. Honestly, like, I kind of want to do it. It looked so fucking cold. She just jumped right in. The other person that we watched didn't jump right in. She kind of like weirdly smiled at us and like giggled, and I thought she was like the one who was doing the performance art, like it was her project or something, like her exhibit, and she was dressed in like this doll outfit, like dollish kind of dress, and I was just like, what the heck, because you know, obviously like Simming Pothead went high, so I was watching it and I was just like out of this world, like what is going on? And I'm pretty sure it was like the end of the world that I saw, and it was just like an experience that I think I was meant to have but can never forget. So this is actually one of my favorite kitchens that I've ever made. I feel like it just makes sense that there's like an island, you know, and I'm like, how can I see her like living? Her house is a lot fancier than I remember. Like in the book it's like more homey, but like, you know, The Sims, like it's really hard because all of the content is kind of like catalog furniture, so it's hard to find like more rustic, you know, stuff. It's more of like modern and stuff like that. So I tried to work with what I had. I wanted like I don't know. It's hard to know what good style is, and it was hard to decide like, oh, practical versus looking good, and it just, I needed to attract some kind of attention aside from my own happiness of looking at like things that just like look like they're a torn down 5-year-old abandoned house. Anyway, so I was like trying real hard to find a place for that like little seat bench, because I still can't figure out how to get a seat bench, like the ones that you can like sit at, like a booth kind of seat by the window. So it was like, I'm pretty sure I've seen it on The Sims, and maybe it was in like a certain stuff pack that I didn't have, but so yeah, that was kind of the limitation. As you can see, I was trying really hard to find a bench. That one kind of matched, but yeah, I kind of problem solved this. I was like, oh, I guess we're going for the white cabinets. But yeah, I think, like, I would love to live in this house, honestly. So, like, as for the TV show, I don't really know, like, I know exactly, like, what the story is. It's just, like, a matter of having, like, I feel like working on it for a week is gonna give me, like, maybe 20 seconds of the show. And I just feel like I'm gonna be a failure. And I had this other idea, but it's, like, best for me to work on 2 projects at once, or else I'll just, like, never do anything. Which was the first time I realized that I had some form of self-control. I was having so much problem with this, like, I couldn't figure out how to get a ceiling in this so I could put lamps. So I had an idea that I wanted to have, like, a woman who living off of her produce and stuff like that, like her own harvest, and like growing her own food, and, you know, fishing sometime, I guess, and, like, starting, like, kind of a community where people don't use technology and they, like, up their skills, like, on their, like, by reading actual books. Yeah, people still do that. And just, like, get skills that way, and, like, kind of create, like, perfect human beings, I guess. Like, I think it sounds more fun because I do like games that are, like, survival. Like, at least Minecraft, you kind of start from, like, 0, and, like, in The Sims, you kind of already have civilization. So I want to like, kind of see where that went, and, like, see how much, like, these people can, like, survive on just that. And, like, I don't know, I feel like internally, like, that's what I want to do with my life. I want to live without, like, wasting, and, like, kind of just building my own from scratch as time goes on. And I feel like this story would be cool. So I would do, like, a trailer park, but she lives in, like, a tent, I guess. She lives in a tent, and she eats from, like, a fireplace, I guess, and, like, hopefully that's enough to keep her warm. But I mean, it's gonna snow. I haven't yet figured out, but it's gonna be a trailer park, so everyone else is living in trailers. She's just, like, an overachiever. And yeah, and then I'll have, like, maybe them be, like, roommates, like, and not controllable Sims, because I don't really feel like dealing with that. But yeah, sorry, I was, like, looking at something. It's a little late. Yeah, so I feel like after a while, like, you know, you start, like, you know, dating people in the community, and people like to call this a cult. I don't think I would call it a cult necessarily, because I feel like that has a negative connotation, but it's more of, like, if you haven't seen the movie, you really should. It's, like, Captain Fantastic, where he has, like, a family, and they live in the forest, and they basically just, like, hunt, and they read books, and they're just, like, hyper intelligent people who I will never amount to ever in my life. But it's seriously, like, people say it's, like, child abuse, but I think it's, like, a different way of parenting. Like, has it ever occurred to us that, like, the way that we are taught is the right way, maybe the way that's just trying to control our minds to being, like, limited and controllable, and, like, these people are literally too smart for their own good, that they, like, don't want them in society unless, like, they're, like, turned against their father. Like, yeah, it sounds a little ridiculous, but if you think about it a little longer, it'll start making sense to you. Sorry if I'm a little pessimistic, you know. It's just I've been getting into a lot of conspiracies and stuff, and it's all becoming, like, so much more clear that it's kind of scary. But on another note, so yeah, I kind of ended up liking how I put the staircase. Like, these are my first, like, real, kind of, well, I guess it's because I haven't really done houses that are 2 floors before. Well, I have, but, like, not for speed builds, that I forgot that there is a non-ridiculous way to make it look with stairs, and normal people usually have the staircase kind of like in front of their home front door. I know that I do. I feel like at a certain point I'll just let you guys like watch this, but I feel like you guys need some form of like entertainment, and I don't know, I feel like I've been gone for so long that like I could talk for this long, but I should have written things down. Oh, I'm thinking about getting an Alexa too. Like the thing, like I'm really weird when it comes to like selling me on things, and the thing I liked about it was that you could ask it to play white noise, because I like to listen to things at night, and like maybe, but then I feel like Alexa like controls a lot of things, and like what if she starts playing some weird shit while I'm sleeping and it's like mind controlling me? I don't know, I've heard some weird things about Alexa, but I'm kind of intrigued at the same time. But yeah, I should probably stop like spending so much money, because like yeah, I get a certain amount like a month, but like I kind of like spend it on really stupid shit, and then like towards the end of the month I'm like broke, and then I look back on my life and I'm like, why did I buy that? But you know, the world is full of regrets, I guess. I actually also made the student lounge. So the house that I made in spring for my making of a school class, where we were building like a boarding school, a real boarding school that they were going to like create. I made like a whole prototype for like a school that actually ended up looking pretty cool. Sorry, this is just me trying to figure out how to fix this problem with no ceiling. I'm pretty sure all of you are like, Yelena, you're so stupid, just click this button. But I think I figured it out after, but it was just really annoying. But yeah, so I'm using that school because I made like a lot of actually useful rooms that I want to add to like the filming, which saves me a lot of time. But I did make a student lounge, a new student lounge that was kind of similar to my high school one, but I can't like, because I had the foundation, it was hard for me to like, I wanted to have like an extra floor on the first floor, like a little like stage, I guess, where people could sit. And I think because of doing a foundation type half flooring thing, you can't put lighting in the regular room, and that's really annoying because when I try to film, it's not gonna have any lighting. But anyway, like, you know, I'm trying to be like, you know, maybe in the future I'm gonna come out with this episode and everyone's gonna be like, you could do it, Lena. But right now I'm just like, in a week I'm just gonna like drop this, because it's just like, this is like too big of a project for me. I need like results right away, and I feel like I really enjoyed doing the first person gameplay, where I just like played one of my characters I made, and just like that was I forgot how fun it is to just like play in the game. So maybe I'll just start playing the cult thing and then like jump into this when I get like bored of the cult thing, or if I want to like, instead of do speed build sometimes, like I'll do some of that and then eventually come out as a side project the show. I just feel like no one really watches my content anyway unless it's like a tutorial. Speaking of which, my tutorials are becoming a hit. I know I don't really talk about like my side job, my other videos, because like no one really watches my speed builds, but I have been doing tutorials for like downloading like certain things like Sims 4 Studio and like MC Command Center, and I have like my blog that helps you like fix your game, which I have not yet uploaded because I feel like people just want to know how to download Sims 4 Studio and MC Command Center. I'm just like, oh, let me just make videos on how to download things that I need help with. So yeah, that's what I did, and it's gotten a lot of good feedback. I've had like over like 8,000 views on one of my videos, and like a number of like maybe 40 comments, most of them being like help me, and other ones saying thank you were really helpful. And like honestly, people on YouTube seem like completely different people, like entertainers, and I'm the one who is entertained, but for some reason it just feels so, I get the feeling when they say thank you for my fans, like I couldn't be here without you, because like just those few comments that say like thank you were a lot of help, like that means so much to me, and like I am so glad that I'm able to help you. Look at me sounding all like sappy. Yeah, I just think like I wish that I understood how people become famous, but it's probably because I'm like not that entertaining, like I'm not interesting. I can't talk and think all at once, like I can't, like all these YouTubers like edit well, maybe if I had a better editing like software, because I use like this editing software that like drives me insane, like just a lot is going on, and it's like not user friendly, but it's cheap, you know. But I feel like if someone just explained to me like set up my computer to do it, like I feel like that would just be awesome. And like I don't know, and like I feel like they're like, I've been watching a few new people lately. I have always watched Lil Simsy, but I started watching Steffo Sims or something. She's hilarious, and I feel like that's someone who's famous because they have like a great personality that's like really unique. And like I was laughing out loud in my room by myself for like an hour, just like, and I don't laugh really out loud by myself. Well, like I do, but it has to be like really funny and like genuinely funny, because what they say is that people laugh because it's like a social thing, and like people don't really laugh by themselves at home, which I feel like might be kind of a stretch, but like I think like the only few times I've actually laughed with only myself in the room was when I was getting into my bed that was on the floor when I was living in the nest, where I like literally used the bed frame as like a border between me and the rest of the room. And I was going in because you have to like slide in. I like tripped on something and I like fell straight onto my face, and I thought it was like the funniest thing because it was like embarrassing, but no one was there to see it. So I was like, why am I embarrassed if no one was there to see it? And then I just started laughing. I don't know, I have like a really weird sense of humor that's kind of just like, oh, life is a stage, wasn't that just hilarious? So so these videos are taken from like after like 3 weeks of like trying to get this shit done. They started off as sets, and then I was like, oh, because it'll be easier to film if like there's no wall on one side. And then I realized I need lighting, and also like what if I take videos from other angles? So so I had to like think of like how this rooms would look as if they were like a set first. So this one was taken during class. I feel embarrassed and ashamed. I've missed this class for like 2 months now. No, like a month, like months worth of class, and like she's really understanding and really nice, but I feel bad that I was like playing Sims in her class, but honestly like it's a really easy class for like beginners, and I'm a senior, so not to sound obnoxious, but like I've learned these things already, like literally, and I don't have any tests or anything, so it's kind of just like me being there is like enough. And I'm going to be there for next classes because it's like the last few classes. I just have like so much homework now that did I use 2 different side tables? Oh my god, why? So yeah, this is my boy Hunter. Okay, so I guess I didn't give you a backstory. So Hunter is Rel's boyfriend. No, but like not right now, so that was a spoiler, but not too much of a spoiler. So he is her brother, big brother's best friend, and her big brother is a senior. She is a junior, and her boyfriend is her age, but he is graduating because he skipped a grade because he's like really really smart and athletic and a perfect man. So they grew up together as kids, and they used to hang out all the time, like her brother and her brother's best friend Hunter, and Ollie, who is her best friend, and his brother, Ollie's brother, was also best friends with Hunter and her brother Elliot, but he died in a car crash, because it was just like very sad and hit the mom. They crashed into a bridge and he died and she survived, and then she felt really guilty, so she killed herself. Yes, very sad. I didn't know that it was that depressing at the time. To me it just like all made sense. Like I was sleeping it when I was like 10 and it like all came to me and it just came out very depressing. That's why I'm just like pretty sure that I've seen things, because people have told me like I talked about like weird shit like death and stuff when I was like a baby, and like they think that I like witnessed some kind of like death or something. I don't know. Something about like I always wanted like to go off a bridge or something. I don't know. Anyway, so like yeah, that's how he died. And so now she's like kind of, you know, she's always had a crush on Hunter, but he's like her older brother's friend, and like then they get together because he had a crush on her too. And okay, I'm not gonna give enough away, but like I kind of have to because I did another bedroom. You know, I'm not gonna give it away. I'm not gonna give it away because I want you to be surprised if I ever make this an actual thing. So, you guys thought that I made all this shit up. No, this is all planned in a 100-page unfinished book, where the plot didn't even get started and I was just rambling about my life, because I had no one else to talk to. So, she has like a few best friends, one of whom is named. So there are a lot of people. I feel like I need to introduce them, but like I'll introduce them in the show. But basically she's like the normal ones. So like the ones that aren't like extremely unpopular, but also ones that aren't popular. The kind of like irrelevant people who could come to school or not come to school and no one knows. So her friends are like a little weird. Honestly, like I feel like now it's just like looking back, they were probably like the losers or something. I just didn't like understand that, because like who wants to admit that they're not cool in high school? Yeah, coping mechanism, denial. So I just kind of like believed that you know, you're just normal, and like sometimes like, you know, you were popular and then you kind of just like either were kicked out of the group or like realized that you didn't really want that shit in your life. So it's kind of stupid. So she was kind of like, you know, her best friend's brother died, you know, like she's going through some other shit. Like she doesn't have to deal with some high school BS. Like, you know, you all know what I'm talking about. I can't believe I was talking for 28 minutes already. I got 20 more to go. Okay, so yeah, so she has like her best friend, whose name I can't use names because I think like the thing is in the book I used fake names and then I got too confused, so then I used real names. So I have like my best friend who's kind of weird. You know, she's going through a lot. She's very like anarchist, anti-establishment, anti-rich people, because like this is like a boarding school that's like some people who don't go to the board, like this is such a good school that it's a boarding school, but these people live in the town of Huntersville, which is in Minnesota. Don't ask me, I don't know why I chose Minnesota, but she's from Minnesota. I've never been to, I think I've been to I passed by Minnesota in a car once. I just had some fascination with like other places that were anywhere but where I was. So, yeah, and then she has a friend named, she has a crazy friend who's obsessed with drama, and she's kind of like stalkerish, and she has a boy obsession, and she's the kind of, and then I have like my gay best friend, Kai, who does not have a real name, and he's like kind of trans, but like that's not part of the story in the beginning. He's just like the gay best friend who gossips with her, and like, you know, they just like sit at Starbucks and talk about people, and it's her way of kind of like getting out the kind of like high school in her. He's very sassy, and she has another friend who's kind of like tomboy, and she dates like super weird guys, kind of gamer people who are less attractive than her, but she like somehow thinks that she's not as attractive as she is, and so like aims for lower people. That was kind of mean, but you know what I mean. So yeah, this is Hunter's room. I kind of inspired. It's inspired by my ex-boyfriend's room. That it was very like classy, organized, very. He was appreciative of the finer things in life, such as luxury items and gold plates and just ancient nice things, I guess. Now I'm doing their shared bathroom. I guess I can't talk about it without giving it away, but basically, like, there's just a room attached to his room. Let's just go with that. So they're hella rich. So I decided to give them a bathroom that was of a hella rich family. Sorry that like half of this is me trying to figure out how to use build tools, because I've never, like, I always end up fucking something up, and I'm like, if this is a problem for someone who's played Sims for like 10 years, it's a problem for a lot of people. So I was just thinking, what does a rich person's bathroom look like? Because apparently they're nice. Like, I don't really conceptualize bathrooms other than like the fact that they have toilets and sinks and a shower, but now apparently I found out that there is a lot to a sink and a shower and a toilet. It matters where they are in the room. You can do more than the bathroom than just take a shower and take a dump and wash your hands. You can also sit on a very nice couch. I would like to know who sits in their bathroom and sits, you know, but the truth is, I'm pretty sure that's what celebrities do. They're just sitting on a nice-ass couch in their bathroom. I don't know why they can't sit in their $500,000, like, couches in their living rooms, but, you know, you gotta have one of those in every room. Sometimes, you know, the bathroom is, like, the coolest room, depending on where you live. Like, if you're in a hot... I mean, I guess you're paying for... I'm trying to rationalize it. Don't ask me. So I actually did speed builds of another, like, Rel's bathroom, that did not actually, like, stream or anything, because what I do is I stream on Twitch, and then I download the videos, and then I, edit them later, and then make them YouTube videos. I really don't know how YouTubers do this. Like, I am pulling my hair out trying to make one video a month, and like YouTubers post like every Monday and Wednesday, and like they're all edited and like interesting, and like literally I don't say much in 5 minutes and they're able to make a 5-minute video that's entertaining. And no, they also make like 30-minute videos where they're building stuff just like I am building stuff, yet they are still interesting. Like, I sit through the whole thing listening to them talk about their lives, and I'm pretty sure that like I've lost basically all of you. Whoever's still here, like, thank you. You don't have to do this. Like, honestly, like, I love speed builds, so I'm just like, you know, if there is one person out there who's like interested in my builds, like, that's enough for me. How cute, Lena. You know, and sometimes you just got to do your best, you know. Now it's clear that, okay, maybe I'm just an underachiever, because like a lot of the YouTubers I watch are all like the same age as I am and are all in college and still managing to do it. How? I don't fucking know. But you know, it's all because I love it. It doesn't really matter. Once you lose that, you lose everything. And so I've been watching this simmer lately as well, and like I really enjoy like male simmers, just because there's so little of them, and like they're really hilarious sometimes, just because, like, not to be like sexist or anything or like make generalizations, but I feel like they just have a different sense of humor, that are less like, you know, they're just very sarcastic, less like straightforward funny and more of just like sadistic. Well, maybe just like the few people that I watch, but I just like love LGR. He's hilarious, and like I found someone who's like kind of similar to him, but he does like more. His name is Call Me Kevin, I think, and I mean, he has videos that have like literally like 1 million views, and I don't think I've ever seen a Sims YouTuber with 1 million views. Maybe I'm just like uneducated, but yeah, it's that like that YouTube channel is hilarious. Like, I am in my bed laughing so hard, and I'm like, this guy is like either like a murderer in real life or just like a plain out genius, or maybe both, because he comes up with the craziest, like, and he does, I don't know if he like writes a script or anything and then like, you know, makes them do weird things and then is like, what are you doing? Or if he's just like, you know, sometimes you're just gifted with interesting, funny Sims. Sometimes they're boring, they just stand there, even if they're on free will, they just like eat, sleep, pee. But like other of them, like sometimes they just do stupid stuff, and like he somehow always catches them on camera, and he like, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people like are either like into the whole aesthetic of like Sims as like a simulation or of life, or they get really crazy with it and they start like doing all the crazy things like murdering and like painting your animals weird things. Like, I wish I had that kind of creativity. By the way, so also, what the fuck, I was just like, there's a lot of room in this bathroom and I don't know what to do with it, so I'm gonna put this chair because I'm guessing that they want to sit sometimes, I don't know. So here's the other room. As you can see, different tastes and styles. But anyway, so for my art class at the other college, I am taking the painting 4 class, and I actually wrote a paper on The Sims because I love it that much. So what you had to do is you had to choose like things from your childhood that were like in the media that you like remember, or something like that means a lot to you from the media. And one of them was The Sims, and I was just like, wait, are you telling me that I can make a presentation and a paper on The Sims? Just like my building a school class that literally I just built a school and that is all I did on The Sims, like literally something that I would have done on my own spare time. So I was like really excited, and I was like, wait, so yes, let me just talk about how The Sims changed my entire life. So because she wanted like an autobiography kind of like research-based paper, so you have to like kind of look things up, but I was just like, oh, I don't really have to look things up because I know everything about The Sims. So I just did a little bit of research about like the history, which FYI, did you know that The Sims started by someone named something Wright, Will Wright, and he made SimCity, and along with other Civilization games that kind of like worked, you build it and they work on their own, and like you see them progress and like have economic and demographic development and such. And then he lost his house in the house fire, which is sad, and I'm sorry. And then he wanted to make a game that created houses through, you know, because he had like a large love for architecture. I'm just gonna quote it. And he was like, oh, I want people to be able to, you know, build things from scratch. Sorry, I'm getting really confused because I'm like watching this as well, so I'm like kind of intrigued. Sorry, this is my own work. I'm so narcissistic. But he also had a daughter, and he was like, oh, like I could make The Sims like a simulated dollhouse. And I was just like, yes, that is why I loved it as a child, because it was a simulated dollhouse. And yes, there are a lot of dark reasons why I like The Sims, probably the same reasons why you guys like The Sims. But it was like cool that I could just like write a 3-page, well, it was a 6-page paper, but it was supposed to be 3 pages. When the teacher says minimum, it doesn't count as writing too much. So I wrote that 3-page paper, and I was just like, oh yeah, link in my bio, get it? Bibliography, link in my bibliography to my YouTube and to my to my blog and stuff. So yeah, my teachers probably think I'm insane, but it's okay because I've owned it, and what's worse than being insane is denying your insanity. Aha, Lena, you are so philosophical, and everyone should learn from you and your words of wisdom. So I am almost done with this build. We got 10 minutes on the clock. As you can tell, the vibes are weird in this room. There is no technically straightforward. Yeah, I had to like look at where the windows were because I was just like, okay, well, he can do a lot of things, but he can't change the windows because that would ruin the outside of the house, which I had to realize through The Sims because I was like, oh, in The Sims I used to be like, oh, I have so much freedom with the windows. I'm gonna use this window. I'm gonna use it, and then I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Because I always forget the outside of the house is ugly when you start from the inside. So what you have to do is build from the outside, which I did, and for the first time, and it looked like my house, because I'm just like, well, if I'm gonna build a house, I'm gonna build one that I know, because I have no imagination, and I have no other picture of what a house looks like in my mind. But I didn't base it off my house. I was just like trying to base it off of like, YouTubers and how their houses usually look, and then it just slowly became my house. Because I have like a typical suburban, I guess. So like the people across the street, like their house looks exactly like ours, and I'm like convinced that they copied us, but apparently it's like a common like way of making your house. So maybe my dad was just the one who was a little bit simplistic and a follower. Just kidding. A little bit. I think it's pretty creative that my dad built his own. Well, he didn't build it, but he like designed his entire house, which is like really cool because like that's what I want. I want to be able to say I made this, even though it's a piece of shit. It's just a fun fact. Like, come on, like if you go into someone's house and like they say I built it from scratch, like that's just like you get like 1,000 points right there of coolness. Just like, yeah, it's like, hey, yo, did you know I met a guy today and he made his own house? Sorry, I'm a little off topic here. So yeah, he has like the rustic, urban, eclectic look going on. I can't believe I stuck with some of the things that are still here. That desk didn't work. Because, why am I getting so congested? It's probably from the Juul. Oh god, I didn't even rant about the Juul yet. So, I've been smoking the Juul because I've been trying to quit cigarettes, and I think that I'm gonna go insane, because right when I started actually quitting, like, for 2 months, cigarettes, I smoked, like, 1 pack in 2 months, the Juul decided that it wanted to go out of business. And here, it's not the Juul's fault. Because the Juul was kind of like, okay, I'm pretty sure a law was passed that you could no longer sell, like, the pod flavors that everyone likes, because, like, they're literally, like, 10-year-old kids who are, like, smoking in the bathroom, and that's, like, not cool. Like, even I have to admit that's not cool. Like, yeah, you can do what you want with your life when you're 18, but, like, 10-year-old lungs should not be smoking the Juul. Like, addiction to nicotine, like, you've never really heard, like, even though people used to be smoking in like their house and like restaurants, like it was still like, I think under like a certain age, like I don't know, some cultures are different. I just think that people should not be juuling in the bathroom all the time. Like, it's so useful to smoke the Juul, so like it's just like available wherever, so it's just dangerous that like everyone can kind of like smoke it whenever they want. So yeah, that's just me being concerned about our next generation. So I can't get mango pods anymore. The only ones they make are tobacco and mint, so they really just want to destroy your life. Hoping that like kids will stop buying it, because like our favorite flavors are mango and mango and cucumber, and I went to the store because I didn't really believe my friends. I was like, it's okay, I like just bought mango pods. And then I go back to the store to buy more pods, and then they're like, sorry, we only sell mint and tobacco. And I'm like, what the fuck? Because I'm just like, even though Massachusetts, you know, I'm in the place where Massachusetts has opened its first weed dispensary shit that's legal, just like local store, you can just go in and buy shit. They still, like, can't give me fucking Juul. So, like, now they're, like, the new, like, the thing is, there's always gonna be a Juul. Yeah, Juul is, like, doing the best, but, like, they also have, like, you know, the Miley that I've heard about that I'm probably gonna end up getting because they have good flavors, and they have, like, a thing that shows you, like, the battery. Well, so does the Juul, but, like, I don't know, it's like an alternative, and it looks like a futuristic version, and I'm not the kind of person who changes, and, like, you know, like, I don't complain about things, but, like, I cannot be smoking the mint and tobacco, like, the tobacco Juul. I think people smoke the Juul so that they don't have to smoke tobacco. Like, why would I want a tobacco flavor? It's, ew. So this is my long attempt to try and put up things on a shelf. I should have just cheated, but, like, I don't like having to look up the cheats, so I just kind of, like, keep messing up. I really like that little area I made for Hunter, but it's really pretentious, and honestly, if I walked into a room like that, I would probably just walk right back out, because I would be like, you are too clean for me, and if I go into that room, you are definitely gonna see where I was. Yeah. I don't like being in clean spaces because they try to shame me whenever I warn them. I'm like, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm gonna mess up your entire room. But, you know, they keep coming back, asking me to come back. I'm so fucking thirsty. So, like, I went for Thanksgiving break for Thanksgiving, and I left a bottle of Sunkist near my window, and I was so happy because when I came home, I was, like, really thirsty in my bed, and I was like, wait a sec, I don't have to get up. I have my Sunkist bottle. So I turned around, and my Sunkist bottle is, like, half frozen because I left it near the window because I use it as, like, a natural refrigerator. And I was just like, yes, it froze. And it was just, like, a really good day. Anyways, I should stop talking because I don't want to get cut off, and this is how his room ended up being. It's really cool. He has a craft table. Like, honestly, this is, like, the perfect man. He plays all the instruments. He has a clutter puddle in his room. Like, he paints, guys, and he has an architecture building over his building table. How much better does that get? So yeah, this is just, like, decorating is so difficult because I'm like, there's so much space, and let me just put some art materials here because, yeah. Anyways, here we have reached the end of the very, very long speed build, but I hope you guys stick around to see the actual show come into place, and let me know if you liked it and if I should just move on to the cult thing. Okay, thank you so much, guys, and keep on simming.